the kingdom of Babylon was going to be in a state of destruction or inactivity for 2,520 years. Starting from the night Belshazzar was taken into captivity, or excuse me, from the night Belshazzar was killed. Because that very night he was killed by Darius the Mede. Okay? Now, that was the year 539 AD. Excuse me, BC. 539 BC. So 2,500 literal years from that date brings us to 1961, 62. Okay? Yeah, it does. Yeah. Excuse me, forget me. It brings us to 1981, 82. All right? The 61. Yeah, that's, see, again, this is a study in itself. But let me show you one more thing about this 2520. Remember I was telling you that in the Hebrew economy, they had a day of 360 years? If you take 360 years and multiply it by 7, you get 2,520. Now, to me, that's interesting because God has placed the earth on a 7-year cycle. That means that every 7 years, the earth has to rest. And the people of Israel went into captivity for 70 years simply because they did not observe the earthly sabbatical year. Now, again, God could have chosen any number he wanted to place the earthly cycle on. Why did he choose 2520? Because there are certain mathematical properties inherent within these numbers that God is trying to express even in his own creation. You know? And I used to, some years ago, before I even really started studying this very deeply, I used to sit down and think, okay, why did God put the earth on a 7-day cycle as opposed to a 6-day cycle or an 8-day cycle? It turns out, again, I did another study of the mathematical properties of the number 7. What is so special about this number 7 that God has used it to mark time from the beginning of creation until now? It turns out that 7 is the perfect prime number. You know, 7 is you'll notice that 7 is the highest single-digit prime number. A prime number is a number that no other number can be divided into. Like, for instance, 6 is not a prime number because I can divide 2 and 3 into 6. 4 is not a prime number because 2 can go into 4 twice. 8 is not prime because I can put 4, I can put 2 into 8. Okay? 9 is not prime because 3 times 3 equals 9. But 7 is the highest single-digit prime number. So in other words, God being the mastermind, the master mathematician, had numbers all figured out before man ever came along on the scene. He just knew that he was going to have some people that were going to think that they were so smart in their own earthly understanding that were going to sit down and they were going to study the scriptures with the intent of proving them wrong. Many of our most powerful Christians right now have become Christians simply because they were trying to disprove, the truth and the validity of the Bible. Robert, pointed me to one of these guys that wrote this book, Cosmic Patriot Files. He discovered a lot of the different mathematic relationships in the Bible, and because of his discovery of biblical mathematics, he became a Christian. Because it was impressed upon his mind that whoever put these mathematical relationships in such intricate order had to be a genius. And God has left his signature on every word in the Bible. Not only are the words significant, but the numbers themselves are significant. And I could go on for another 3 hours just on the biblical mathematics, but
Yeah, Dr. Bennett also a Russian mathematician. He received a Nobel Prize for his findings.
Yeah.
Dr. Ivan Pendon.
Ivan Pendon, that's right. I've heard the name. I would like to see his book and find out exactly what he found out.
So what did 1961 signify?
No, I shouldn't say 1961, 1982. Okay, that comes up to 1982. That was the year that all the planets lined up on one side of the sun. Okay.
If it was 539, it comes out to 1981.
Yeah, late 1981. But you have to remember, BC time gets kind of confused when you're going from BC to AD because
That's right. Yeah.
because you have to add another year because there was no 0 year. It went from 1 BC to 1 AD or 2 AD. So you have to add another year because there's no 0 year. Okay.
Was there a birth or was there an ordaining on that year?
That was the year that was the year 1982 when the articles appeared all over the world that the Christ is now here.
Right.
That was when they said that the Maitreya was about to be revealed. Now the interesting thing is that let me get an eraser here and draw something up here. Thanks.
So the healing of the Babylonian head.
Yeah, exactly. That's when basically a healing. All right. All right. Thanks for coming.
Take care.
Yeah. Thanks. Now, a lot of people will look at something like all the planets lining up on one side of the sun and say, okay, what's so special about that? Just say you have the sun right here, and you have all these 9 other concentric orbits, meaning that they orbit around the same center. Okay. So you have, and let's just say, let's put a ring around here. 9 other rings, and let's just say that Mercury, let's say this is Mars. Mars might be over here somewhere. Let's say that this 3rd ring represents Venus. I should have you draw this. You're the artist. But you have Sun, and you have Mercury, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Earth. I guess this would be Earth on the 4th one.
Yeah, you almost need a 3-dimensional model.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't, that wouldn't be bad. Saturn, rings, or whatever. And now, I'm not going to draw the rest of them because I'll run out of space, but we know that our Earth has 9, our solar system, I should say, has 9 planets that orbit it. And they all spin around the Earth, around the sun at a certain velocity. We know that the Earth, the period of the Earth takes 360 days, or 360 days to go around it. The period of each of the other planets is different. But the significance of 1982 is this, that was the first year in all recorded history that all the planets lined up on one side of the sun in a perfect line. Now think about this. I'm God sitting up on my throne, right? And I know that I want to have a message to the people of Earth, and I want to give it around the late 1981 and 1982. So I'm going to have to calculate the velocity of every one of these planets so precisely that they're going to spin in disarray or disorder for over 5,000 years. And they are so intricately timed that they're all going to automatically line up at one specific time during the year 1982.
Without disrupting their natural.
Yeah, without disrupting their natural paths.
Is it 82 or 81?
It was 1982. You know. Now again, there were some songs that were even written about this. You know, the Fifth Dimension used to sing a song called "The Age of Aquarius."
Right.
They said, you know, when the moon is in the 7th house, and Jupiter aligns with Mars. And it says, and peace shall guide the planet, and love shall steer the stars. And then they said, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is like, New Age, terminology, meaning that this is the dawning of the age of the Antichrist. So again, mathematics is all in the Bible.
That was not a major alignment, was it? There's majors and minors. That was an alignment, but I don't think it was a major.
I think it was.
From what I read, that was the most major alignment of all recorded history.
What's really interesting about that is if that was a major, they happen roughly once every 175 years. This was the 12th one since Christ.
Really?
So if this was this was every 175 years is a major. If you count back, you get right to the birth of Christ for if you go back 12. So if this is the 12th, then this is the one that happens before the return of Christ.
Is that right?
It's got to be.
I'd like to read what you read, but now see if that's really interesting in itself because of the use of the number 12. I mean, God had, as opposed to 13 or 11 or something else like that.
So you're saying
And
the
number
Antichrist,
12, the perfect common number.
Yeah.
so you're saying the Antichrist was born in 82?
No, he was born in 61, but he was revealed, you might say, ordained in 82. Now, think of,
62.
He was born in 62, ordained in 82.
yeah.
Yeah, 62, for February.
That was another alignment.
Yeah.
A minor alignment.
February the 5th.
Yeah, I didn't read that date, but I like it.
Pergamon Church.
What book
Yeah,
is this you read?
David Price.
I have a book at home that I'll show you that talks about that.
Okay.
So he's
Um,
33 now.
Well, he would be, yeah.
Henry Mason.
Yeah, that's right. Now think about
33 is a really symbolic number.
It is.
All
It
through
really
there.
is.
It is.
It gets to them as far as demons.
You know that all your LP records used to be 33 RPM? Was it?
Really? That's true. 33 and 1/3.
33 and 1/3.
33 and 1/3.
Is all through the whole pattern of civilization.
Yeah.
And it's the
mystic
Masonic
number.
God, a year of significance.
Yeah.
Huh?
So I guess that would make this year a year of significance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And 1995 has been a year the Satanists have been preparing for years and years.
So it's
You know-
not over yet.
No, it's not over yet. But Oklahoma was a key event in '95, and it was their event.
Yeah. No, we were talking last night about this. If you notice the parallels between the life of Christ and the life of the Antichrist, Christ was in pretty much obscurity for 30 years. There's not a whole lot of scriptural record of what he did when he was 13, 14, 15 years old. He didn't really gain any notoriety until he was baptized in 27 AD. At the time, he was 30 years old. Isn't it just interesting that the Antichrist is almost the same age from the time of his birth until the time of 1982?
Yeah.
You know, from the time he gets finished. Well, we're in 95 right now, so if we're 33 years from the time of his birth right now. Okay, so I'm just saying that the time frame, the age of their life during their you might say ministry. Now think about this: if we know from Scripture that the great time of trouble is going to last for 3.5 years, that can start anywhere like from this year or the next year, and we know from studying Scripture it's going to be exactly 3.5 years. Well, Christ ministered for 3.5 years also, and we've said this many times. And before his ministry, he was at 30 years old, and so notice the parallels. Notice how closely Satan is trying to counterfeit.
33 and a half. That's another 33.
Exactly, 33 and a half. Isn't that something?
So if it started in 96 and a half, it'd be 3.5 years till the year 2000.
Yeah, that's right.
So 96 would be a very significant year.
Yeah.
That's those two numbers in themselves are.
Yeah, that's most high
Our charge.
Mason, the most high
33. Yeah.
Sacrifice.
You know, the enemy, he takes a lot of things. He takes a lot of the numbers that he knows are important in God's mind and attaches different significances to them.
96 is the yin and the yang. That's their whole focus. That's
No,
their
that's
whole
it.
cosmic their whole
That's the yin and
comprehension
yang.
of cosmos, the yin
Yeah.
and the yang, the 6 and the 9. That's supposed to be the force
6,
of light
9.
countered with the force of darkness.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's a lot of pornographic
Yeah,
connotations
69.
also. But it's only a perversion of God's use of
Exactly.
numbers, because 6 and 9 are key numbers in Revelation too.
Yeah, I have
You
to.
know, say some things that don't help me tonight too, man, because all them years after leaving the Pentecostal church, and then like the last 3 years being in Germany and Korea,
Yeah,
most of my studying was in a non-denominational church, so
Yeah.
pretty much like based within like a spirit, you have a soul, you live in a body.
yeah,
Some of them scriptures really broke that down.
yeah.
It's kind of funny, but the
Yeah, I
phone
think so.
company uses a *69 to find out who called you last.
Yeah.
Star
Their
69.
codes are
US West, yeah.
always occult.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre, like a Big Brother type thing, watching
Yeah.
you type of.
Yeah,
And at ground, when you see the phone company I think it's phone or utilities, when they find ground and an underground, they'll put a pyramid with a G in the middle. You'll see those all over.
Yeah,
the
I see
stick.
that.
That means ground current, but it also is the significance
Masonic
of
symbol.
the Masonic symbol.
They use those at gas stations too.
Ground and
That pyramid.
beginning and starting the
Everything
foundation.
just about you
I don't know.
pyramid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it means there's a ground wire under there, or what it means. But
So the pyramid is definitely
it
an
means something to
occultic.
do with the current.
yeah,
So the pyramid is definitely an occultic symbol. Then,
yeah.
Oh,
I see it. I notice it a lot more now that I am aware.
Matter of fact, even when we drove through Desert Storm, we put,
You were there?
even when we drove through Desert Storm to identify our vehicle, we put a triangle on our doors, now that we think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was an upside down V. Only we didn't do is put the line in the
And
front.
gays now put a pink upside down triangle to signify their gayness.
They did that same thing in
In Nazi
Nazi Germany, and
Yeah.
and after Hitler came into power, they started rounding up all the pyramids and slaughtering them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You'll see
History is
you'll see
repeating
women,
itself.
women motorcycle cops with that pink V on the back of their bikes.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen it.
What is that? Does that mean they're
Gay,
gay?
gay,
That's being cops.
gay biker.
You know, I read that Hitler, because he wanted to surprise his enemies in one of his attacks, he had led one of his raids with a whole lot of bare-breasted women. You know, the idea was this, that the enemies were so overcome with shock that they didn't even shoot. You know, I mean, imagine if you're in a foxhole, you're all cocked and ready to shoot, and you see 50 or 100 women with no bra on or anything else coming charging at you, you know? Now think about this. For one thing, you haven't seen a woman in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You know,
true, that's true.
Now, yeah, consider the shock effect that it's going to have. You're just so shocked. You're not going to want to shoot on a woman first of all. You know, and so of course you don't have to wonder what happened. I mean, of course they were destroyed by these women. You know.
The women were carrying guns?
Oh yeah, they had guns. They were prepared, but I mean they just shocked them so much that they were too shocked to shoot.
And they carried that thing into Hollywood.
They did
Yeah.
that? They did that? In
Oh yeah, one of the battles that Hitler launched upon the
I've never
Allies.
heard of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, either.
yeah, that was funny. Isn't it? One of those history books that I read some years ago.
Successful, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those poor women.
Yeah.
But did you get inoculated in Desert Storm with all these, the vaccinations they were given?
No,
You
I
didn't get
didn't
that?
take them. They were giving them to us, but I wouldn't take them.
You were leery of it, or
Was it mandatory?
why didn't you?
No, it was mandatory.
He had just read the book, The Older Pilgrim's
That's
Progress.
God, man, that's all I can
That's
say.
right.
There's a lot of stuff that, no, that book wasn't even given to me by that time.
Is that right?
Time
How the
in
heck
Germany.
did you get out of it?
They'd give you, like, you'd give you shots also, right? But then the main thing they would give you was these pills. And they came right out and told you before they gave you these pills that they were never tested. So they had no idea what the side effects would be.
Oh.
Okay? They told you they had no idea what the side effects would be, but they would come around every 4 hours and make sure you were taking these pills. But you know, just like me and Chuck were talking before, even though we said like in the Bible, the devil has these plans, they will come to pass. He's still the devil, and his plans ain't gonna be perfect, you know, pure and everything.